Okay guys, so for this one, we're gonna convert the 0.15 grams to what? Milligrams. Alright, so alright, so the first one we're gonna do is we're gonna put 0.15 grams over X. Alright, well, to get that number we convert, we're gonna do 1,000 milligrams, because that's what we're looking for, right? Milligrams over 1 ml. I mean, 1 gram, okay? So we got 1,000 milligrams over 1 gram times 0.15 grams. That gives us 150 milligram dose, okay? So that's what that converts to, all right? I wish I could take this off, but I can't, all right? So, first thing I want to do, I got the 150 milligram dose. So I'm going to look at that and say, okay, which one do I want to use? I don't want to, if I use the 480 milligram per ml, it's going to be a very small dose, right? Because the 450 is way less than 480. So you know it's less than 1 ml. But if we use the 250 milligram per ml, that's more, maybe a little more feasible. And then you look at the number over here, you have the, I'm sorry guys, you can't see it barely. But here you got 4 mLs over 5.8 mLs volume and then 100 milligrams per ml. Well, actually you could do either or, okay? You really could. You could do 250 milligram per ml or you could do the 100 milligram per ml. Because this one, let me show you. So we're going to do, let's do the 250 milligram per ml first. So our order is 150 milligram dose, all right? That's what we got. We're looking for how many mLs is in that 150 milligrams. Well, we know we got 250 milligrams per ml. So we're looking for mLs, right? So we know that goes where? First line, mLs. So 250 milligrams per ml. So we got 1 ml over 250 milligrams. Okay? We take that times 150 milligrams because why? Because milligrams. Okay? Over X. 150 milligrams over 250 gives you what? .6 mL. Okay, that's a reasonable dose, right? That's a reasonable dose. We could, if you got that one, I would give you credit. Well, let's do the next one. Let's do the 100 milligram. So mLs, again, we're looking for. We got 1 ml over what? 100 milligrams. Okay? Because now we're looking for this one, 100 milligrams per ml. Well, we know our dose is 150. We're putting the 150 there because we're looking for, we have milligrams given to us. Slash that off, it goes up over X. That gives you 150 over 100. How many times does that go into it? 1.5 mLs. So, you can see, it depends. Now, you have to really, and this is where you're going to learn in nursing school, you have to know which drug. If this drug is more of a concentrated, something like Rocephin, which burns when you inject it, you'd probably want to do the 1.5 ml because it has a little more dilutant in it, and it's not so concentrated, so it wouldn't burn the patient as much. Okay. However, if you gave me both of these answers, I would accept either one. Okay, because those are acceptable. But the top one, no, absolutely not. All right. All right. All right. Okay. So now, this one's 0.9 grams. You know, don't worry about this. I would not give you one like this on the test, so don't worry about that, okay? Let's do this one. I want you to skip ahead to this slide. So you have 200 milligrams IM ordered, okay? 200 milligrams IM ordered. I'm here to help you guys pass, not fail you. So I'm going to give you some easy ones for the final exam. All right, so this one says 200 milligrams per IM, intramuscular injection. All right, that's our order. Our order is 200 milligrams, okay, IM. So let's go over here and look. So you have, for every 1.5 ml contains 250 milligrams, okay? We got 200 milligrams. So we're looking for mLs, correct? mLs, that's what we're looking for. All right, so first line, mLs, second line, mLs is gonna be first because that's what we're looking for. Well, that over there says it's 1.5 mLs for every 250 milligrams. 1.5 mLs for 250 milligrams. Our dose is 200 milligrams over X. So 1.5 times 200 is what? 300. Over 250 milligrams. So what do you get? So we're going to put 1.2 mLs in that syringe. That's your dose. Okay? Now, this here, we talked about yesterday. That's because they're converting, but don't worry about this. This should be 1,000 milligrams over 1 gram. Oh no. No, okay, here's why they did this yesterday. Because it's 1 to 1, all right? The 1 milligram is milligrams here, okay? And 1 milligram equals 200 milligrams. See, it's milligrams all the way across, okay? So, if you were converting, this is how you would do it because there's no micrograms or milligrams. It's 1 to 1. So 1 milligram equals 1 milligram, right? Yes. That's why they did that. Okay. All right. Again, this one here, this one says, all right, this order is for 0.5 grams. That's your dose. Now, if you want to convert this before you do your equation, you do it during your equation. So, you got over here, let's look over here. For every, so right here, like it says right here, up here, for IM use at 3.5 ml, that's how much you dilute it with. Okay, it gives you 250 milligrams of ampicillin per ml, okay? So, they give you 250 milligrams of ampicillin per ml. Well, we're looking for mLs, right? mLs. So, I'm going to do it the long way with the short way. So, first one is, we're looking for mLs. So we know 1 ml equals what? 250 milligrams of ampicillin. We need to convert this. So we know, and this is milligrams, right? So 1,000 milligrams is 1 gram because we have 0.5 grams, so we're going to put 0.5 grams here. That's the long conversion. Let's convert. This is putting the conversion. We're converting this inside the equation now. Okay. This is the long way. For some of you, this is easier. Okay. So 1 times 1,000 is 1,000 times 0.5 is 500. 250 times 1 is 250. So what are you going to give? It's 2 mLs. If you look at it, there's 250 milligrams of ampicillin per 1 ml. What's your ordered dose? 500 milligrams. So 250 milligrams going into 500 milligrams times 2. Okay? Again, this is the long version. This is putting your conversion of the grams to milligrams inside the equation. If you want to do it the other way, and I will give you credit, you would go up here and do 0.5, or you're looking for milligrams, right? So you do 1,000 milligrams equals 1 gram, and you got 0.5 grams over X. That gives you 500. That's your total dose right now. That's what this is equivalent to. That's your dose, 500 milligrams. Okay? Now, if you guys did it this way, I would put 500 there. It'd just be like that. Okay? See how I did it? I took out that step out of here. And you did this first, you converted this first, but then you went down and did your equation. Alright? It's the same way. Again, there's 2 ways to do this. Some of you guys know how to do it like the long way, and some of you like to convert it before you put it in the equation, so it's smaller equation. Okay? I hope you understand that. Alright. What are we doing next? Alright. Alright, so here we talked about this, we already talked about this, you can read this on your own. Alright, now we're doing liquid concentrates. Okay, so you need to pay attention to this. This percentage, fraction, and ratio. So percentage means per 100, right? Remember we talked about this, dollars and cents. It's per $1. So anything underneath that is a percent or cents. Okay? Percent or cents. So we have cents is in percent. Alright? So if it says 150 per strength, then that contains 50% active ingredient plus 50% inactive ingredient. What's 50 plus 50? 100. So half strength indicates one of 2 parts is active and the other one is inactive. So you have one half. So how many times they go? 50 is 1, the other one's 1. So that's 1/2, okay? Now, 1-to-1 denotes 2 total parts. So 1-to-1 means 1-to-1. There's 1 part this, 1 part this. We'll put bleach and water. 1 part bleach, 1 part water. That's 50% each, right? So 1 part active and 1 part inactive. Left number is always active. So this one would be active. Active, inactive. Okay? So you'll remember what it says is left number is active, right number is inactive. Okay? So percentage, fraction, and ratio. So to convert a ratio to a fraction, add the total number of parts to create a denominator. To convert a fraction to percentage, multiply the fraction by 100 and add a percent sign. And to convert a percentage to a fraction, divide the percentage by 100 and remove the percent sign and reduce the fraction. That's a lot of jumbo mumbo, okay? So, let's do this one. It says irrigate your wound with 80 mLs of peroxide solution. 80 mLs, and it's a 1-to-4 solution. So, what is the percentage of this? What is 80 divided by 4? What's your fraction? So if it's 1/4, what would your fraction be? Okay? I'm going to show you how you got that. I'm sorry, 1/5. 1/5. Okay? 1/5. Let me show you how I got that. So, Here we go. So 25% over 100 is 1/4, right? So 120 mLs of 25% formula per feeding tube of 2, okay, here's your order. Here's your order. See it up here? It's 120 mLs of 25% formula per feeding tube every 2 hours for 12 hours. Let me write it here so you guys can see it. It's 120 mLs at 25%. Okay? So, 25% converts into 1/4, that's your fraction. 25 over 100 is 1/4. So, let's think about this. Remember, if this is 25%, how much would this be in money? It would be 25 cents. Since this is 25%, see what I'm doing here and look. See that? Cent per cent for 25 cents, or for 25%, okay? So, 25% is 1/4, okay? 4 quarters go into 100, right? Or $1, so that's where you get 1/4, okay? So, the desired is the amount in milliliters of the active ingredient. So, the desired answer is the amount in milliliters of the active ingredient. So, all right, so we have the mLs in the active ingredient, total mLs, and the formula is 120 mLs, okay? So the fraction is 1/4. So what goes into 120 4 times? 30, okay? So it's 120 over 1 times 1/4, okay? Because we're looking for mLs. All right? Okay. So then we go look here, we go look, 120 mLs total. Well, how much is this? Well, we got 30 mLs of active ingredient, right? Because 1/4 ratio, 25% is 30 mLs. So remember the active ingredient is 30, right? So we know that 90 of that is dilutant. Okay? Well, then with the evaluation, 30 is 25% or 1/4 of 120. 30 plus 90 equals 1:20. That gives you a 1:3 ratio. Okay? Well, how do you get that ratio? 1 part active, 3 parts dilutant. Okay? So 30 and 30 and 30 and 30 gives you what? 120, right? Okay? All right, guys, it's it's another long equation, but you got to do it. All right. So you have Ensure food supplement, 25% strength every 8 hours for 3 hours. So is that every 8 hours for 3 hours important? Nope, because it's not asking you how many you're going to give every 8 hours. It's going to ask you what your dose is. So, how would the 25% concentration be written and expressed as a fraction? Well, how do you get it? 25%. Remember? So, 25 divided by 100 equals 1/4, right? Right? Hold on. It's 200. It's 200 mLs because that's what they're giving us. So it's 200. So what's 25 into 200? All right. So here we go. So 0.25 times 200 or 50 mLs or 200 mLs over 1 times 1/4 equals 500 or 50, okay? So here we go. So so remember 25% is written as 0.25. Remember 25% or 25 cents, okay? The 200 is because they give you 200 mLs, okay? So what's 0.25 times 200? 50. Okay? All right? Then you're going to put 200 mLs over 1. They could be either one. See, it says or. You could do it this way. 200 mLs over 1 or 1 and times 1/4 equals 50 mLs. Okay? So, do you see how they're doing that? So, remember, we're looking for mLs, right? We're looking for how many mLs we're going to get. How many mLs? There's our question. How many mLs? Remember, we started out with the mLs because that goes first. And we got 200 mLs per one. Okay, one dose. But then we got over here 1/4. What is 1/4? That's actually 25 or 25%. Because remember, if you say it out loud, 1/4, what's 1/4? 25 cents. Okay, so it'll be 1/4 equals 50 mLs. Okay, so how many mLs of water will be added? Well, you got 200 mLs over 1, and we know that 1/4 of this is what? Active ingredient, correct? So 3/4 of that, 200 times 3, 600 divided by 4 is 150. Okay, do you see how we got that? So what will we missed this one. What will the ratio of Ensure be to the water diluent? I missed this, I can't see it. 1.1 to 3, as this is 25%, or 1 to 4, leaving 3/4 in active diluent, okay? So, there you go, all right? So what will the ratio of Ensure be to the water dilutants? 1 to 3, as this is 25%, or 1/4, leaving 3/4 in active diluent. Okay, do you see where they got that? All right. Here's another one. So evaluate. So they're saying 25%, 120 ml. You gotta calculate the amount of concentrate. You have ordered 120 mLs of 25% formula. Okay. We're feeding tube every 2 hours. Don't worry about this right here. It does not need to be known. I don't care. So, 25% formula. You got 120 mLs. So what's 25% of 120? Well, first we want to evaluate what's 25, 0.25, all right? Or what's it going to be? 1/4 for later on, okay? 0.25 or 1/4 is 25%. See how that goes? 25%, 25 cents, or 1/4. See how how the percentage goes? So then we know, okay, well, we want to find out how much of the active ingredient that is, because we know if it's 25% of 120 mLs per formula, it's 25 times 120 equals 30 mLs. Or, how else would we do it? Let's go back to this one. Look at this one. Remember this one, 0.25 times 200 equals 50. Or we can do 200 mLs over 1 times 1/4. Well, we can do the same here. If they give you 120 over 1 times 1/4, because remember, this is 1/4. What do you get? See how I did that? Or you can do it this way, however you want to do it. There's 2 ways of doing it, okay? 25 times 120 equals 0.25, 25% of 120 is 30. Or 120 over 1 times 1/4 equals 30. Okay? There's 2 different ways of doing it. All kinds of ways of doing math, guys. Alright? I'll leave that up there for you. And then now we gotta look for 120 mL. So we know that 30 is active, right? Well, we're gonna take 120 of it, the total 120 minus 30 of active ingredient equals 90 mL dilutant. Well, what's inactive? How much is inactive? Remember what's on the left and what's on the right. So we would write this, how would we write this? 1 to 4. Or 1 to 3. Okay? 1 part active, inactive. Okay? So active is 30. And this one over here is 30 times 3. That gives you what? 120. Okay? All right. Let's get to this one. So what is the difference between a dilution ratio and a fraction? How I remember, which one is easier? One less step to convert to a percentage, the ratio of the fraction per, okay? So, let's calculate the amount of concentrate. We got 60 mLs of 50%, okay? Don't worry about the TID. What's 50% in decimal? 50%. Or 50% is 50 cents, or what? How much is 50 going to 100? 1/2. That's how we convert, that's how I make a fraction. So here we got 50% of that 60, 50.5 times 60 equals 30. Again, 60 ml, so you got 60 ml total, we know 30 is active, then you got 30 ml dilutant. So what is that equal to? We've got to count the amount of concentrate, is that, what is that? How many times does 50 go into 100? 2. So how much active would there be? How much inactive is there? Okay? Because remember, 30 and 30 equals what? 60. Okay? There's how we did that. Here's your answer. Amount of active ingredient is 30 mLs. Amount of inactive ingredient is 30 mLs. Ratio of active to inactive is 30 to 30 or 1 to 1. Okay? What's 30 divided by 30? 1. Okay? Next one. What is the difference? Oh, wait, we already did that. All right, so now we're going to do number 3. Here, see it, 75% in 1,000 mLs every 8 hours. Again, we don't need to care about this. We don't care about that. All right? Here we go. So what's your fractional strength? Well, fractional strength, I can't go all the way up there, so our fractional strength is equals, so it's 75%. So we got to find out. So 0.75 equals 75%, right? Or what? How many times does how many quarters go into 75? 3. But how many times does it need to get to 100? 4. So that takes you to 3 quarters. So look, 75 cents, 75%, or 3 quarters. 3 quarters equals 75 cents, right? Okay, so we got that. So we know we got 3 quarters, okay? That's our fractional strength. 0.75, I'm gonna put this on the side, 0.75, or 3 quarters, okay? So now the ratio of active to inactive. Well, we got 3 quarters, right? If you've got 1,000 mLs of 75%, well, what are we gonna do? So we're gonna look for mLs. Okay? So we've got 1,000 mLs over 1 times 0.7 or 0.75 There's 3 quarters, right? 3 quarters. What do we get? 3,000 divided by 4 is what? 750 mLs. All right, there's your total mLs, 750, okay? 750 mLs, because I got 1,000 mLs up there is 1, okay? But we got 3/4, so we know, because we got 3/4 over here, we're gonna bring 3/4 over here. Now, the other way you can do it is this way. We're using the fraction on this one, okay? We're gonna use the decimal on this one. So this one we have 0.75, so we're gonna do 0.75 times 1,000 gives you what? $750. See, there's two ways of doing it for you. Okay? Either way, I'll give you credit. So now, so what's the ratio of active to inactive? Well, 750 mLs is what? Is that active or inactive? Ah, 750 is active. So how much is 750? Well, all right. So I'm gonna take this off now. Well, 750. So 750 goes in 1,000 what? There's 3/4, right? It's 3 to 1. So what's your active and inactive? Active is 3, inactive is 1. All right? Now, how did I get that? Let's go back and we'll show you one more time. So see here how they did this one? You have 30% is 25%. So remember we got 75%, and that would be how much of 1,000? 750, okay? Or 1/4. So 750 plus what? 250 equals 1,000. You see how we're doing that? Because again, our equation was this one. It was set 1,075%, right? 1,075%. Okay? And we know that's 3/4, correct? Well, what's 3/4 of 1,000? 750. Well, 750 plus what would give you 1,000? 250. Okay? So, you would do that. So 1/4 is 120. So we got 30. We know what for 750 is this. And then 250 is that gives us 2,000. So this 750 is going to be your number 1, right? Well, we know that is 3 because it would be first. See, this one here is 30, 90, but this one's going to be 750, 250. It's the same, see? This goes in here, this goes in 121, 30 is active and 90 is inactive because that was the dilutant. Well, this one has 75% active ingredient. So this one's going to be 750 plus 250 dilutant gives you a 3-to-1 ratio, right? 250 plus 250 plus 250 is your 3. 250 to 1. Okay? That's how you get it. Now, there's a video online. There's a video already on there. But I want to do one thing with you real fast. Your homework. There on your homework, in the modules, there's a video on there showing you how to do the fraction and percentage ratio. See here? This is the fraction percent ratio video, okay? However, I want to show you how to do this homework, one of the homework real fast. probably look at that sheet and you're going, what the hell is he doing? Okay? Well, here we go. Okay, well, let's do this one. All right, so first they give us 700 mLs, right? Well, we know, let's do this. So 700 mLs, that's our one, right? So let's go over here and do your work. You got 750, okay? 1/3. So what is, there's a 1 to 3 fraction, so what's 1/3 of 700? Seven hundred over 1 times 1/3 gives you what? Well, how much is 1/3? Well, 700 divided by 3, what do you get? 233.33333. Well, we can only use all those 0.3333s, right? We're going to do 233.33, okay? That'd be like, it's going to be one of these would be 0.34, but let's just do it this way. So, what's our percentage? Well, what's 1/3? What is it 1/3 equal? 1/3 of 100, how do you get that? You do again, 100 over 1 times 1/3 equals 100 over 3, what do you get? 33.33333, right? Okay. Well, what do you do? 33.33, what does that give you? It's 33.33%, or 0.33333, okay? Or you want to put that extra 3 in there, okay? All right, so our percentage is 33.33%, okay? Or 1/3. Well, what's our ratio? Well, how many times does 233.3 go into 700? You gotta go 700 over 1, 233.33 over x. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, so so let's look. So what's 1/3 of 700? 700. It's going to be, your ratio is going to be 1 to 2. Why do I do that? Well, 233.33 times 3 is what? 233.33 times 3 equals 699.99. So what do you say to say? So if we know this is active, here's our fraction, here's our ratio. When we know this is 233.33, right? This is going to be 233.33 plus 233.33 equals that. Okay? So how much do we have active? 223, or something, 233.33. How much is inactive? 466.66. Got that? Probably not. All right. Well, let's do another one. Let's do this one, because this one's a little harder. 2/3 over 250. Well, let's break this down for a minute. We know 2/3. So how many parts is that? This is a total of 5 parts, right? Because 2 plus 3 is 5, right? Okay. Remember I said, let's act like you're putting Fabuloso and water together. You're going to put 2 parts Fabuloso and 3 parts water. Okay? But that's going to equal 250 mLs. Well, if this is 5, what goes, how much is 5, what's 250 divided by 5? 50. Right? Well, alright. So, to forget that though, we have to do this. We're going to do our work again. Alright. So, 2 to 3 ratio, or 2 to 3 ratio means this is 2 times 3, so 1/5. That's our fraction. Why? Because there's 5. We're going to bring the 1 over 5. 2 and 3 equals 5. So 1/5. Okay, there's 5 parts. So 5 parts, is one, and that is 1/5. Okay, so our fraction is 1/5. Well, what is 1/5 of 100? Well, we have 250 mLs, right? And we're looking for 250. We have 200. They give us 250 over 1 times 1/5. What do you get? 250 divided by 5 is 50. Now, if we know 50, okay, 1 is 50, 1 part is 50, we take that times 250. 250 divided by 5, or 50 is what? 5, right? Now what are we going to do? So what are we going to do with this 5? Well, we know that that's 5 parts, like I just told you. 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay? So, then this would be 5 parts. Okay? So, how many times, if we know this is 2/3, how many 50s are going to go here? This is 2 and 3, that's 5, right? Well, 5, this is going to be 250, so we know that two of these are 50. 50 plus 50 is 100. That's this part. 50 plus 50 plus 50 equals 150. What do you get when you pull that together? 250. Okay? But we know 5, what's 5 into 100? How many times is, 100 divided by 5, what is that? Sorry, I put it the wrong way. 100 divided by 5. 20. How many times, so what is our percentage of, what if that's 20, how many times what is 20 cents of 100? What's our percentage? 20%, remember? 20%, 20 cents, or 1/5. Okay, so here's your answer. Your percentage is 20%. Your fraction is 1/5 because 20% of 100 is 1/5. Because 20% goes into 105 times. Over here, your ratio is 2 to 3 because you've got 5 parts. So 1/5. So you know 2 is 50 plus 50 is 100. times 50 is 150, gives you 250. So what's our active ingredient? 100. See? 50 plus 50, your total inactive is 250. Okay? All right. You got to know your dollars and cents, people. You know your dollars and cents, you'll be just fine. Let's do one more. I'll do one more for you. This is your homework, but you're going to have to do 3. Okay? Giving you 3. You're going to do the other 3. All right. So they give us the percentage now of 180. Well, what do you think we're going to do here? 180. What do you think we want to do? Let's do the 180. So 10 times 10 goes into 100 how many times? 10 cents. If we had 1 dime, how many dimes would it take to get $1? 10. 10 times 10 is $1, right? 100. Okay? So let's take 180 divided by 10. That gives you what? How many times? What goes into 180 10 times? 18. 18 times 10 is 180, right? All right. So, if you got 10%, so we know that what would this fraction be? If this is 10%, what am I going to write the fraction as? How many times does 10 go into $1? 1/10. Okay, so we got this now. Well, we've got 180 mLs, and 10% of that is active ingredient. So what I tell you, how much is it? How many times does 10 go into 180? 18. So what do you think our percentage is? If this is 10, we got to make a ratio to equal 10. But we know 10% of that is 18. So, if you got 18%, or 18, one to 9 ratio. Guys, again, 18 times 9 is what? What's 162 plus 18? 180. So what's our active ingredient? How much is our active ingredient? 18 mLs. How much is inactive? 162 mLs. Make sense? Practice, practice, practice. Okay? Practice, practice, practice. I will put another one of these on the board for you to do. Now listen, for the test, you're going to have one of these on there. Okay? I'm going to try to make it as easy as possible because let me tell you something. I've been there 27 years. I've never had to do this in my life. I don't know why they're teaching it to you now. But it's kind of like you got to kind of figure it out. Okay? It's kind of like if you're given something, you want to get 25% of or 20% of something, you'd be giving whatever. Okay? So I will make it easy for you guys. I know this is a lot and it's hard to understand, but I hope this makes it easier for you to understand. Okay? All right, guys. I'll see you on Wednesday. Have a good weekend.